Hi everyone and welcome back to Sprinkle with Paper. Today we're going to be making a Hocus Pocus cake topper. The supplies needed to create our cake topper are a Cricut cutting mat, some type of stick. I typically use these food grade sticks found at Hobby Lobby, but today I thought we'd do something a little different and use a decorative straw. I found these black and white straws that I thought would just go perfect with our design, and they were only $1.99 for the whole pack. We'll also need glitter cardstock, and I'm going to be using purple, yellow, orange, lime green, black, and then just a regular white cardstock. And then last but not least, we're going to need our hot glue gun. To keep this project nice and simple, I'm going to purchase an SVG file over on Etsy. The idea is to find a design that's very similar to the cake topper I'm hoping to create, so that when I bring this design over into Cricut Design Space, with a few tweaks I can make it my own and create the perfect cake topper without starting from scratch. The design I found here from Two and Mo Studios is absolutely perfect. So it not only has the cauldron, but it has the silhouette of the three sisters hairstyles, and it's also only $1.10. So that is such a great deal, and if you just think about the amount of time you're saving from creating these elements of your cake topper from scratch, this is a huge win. Once you've purchased your SVG file on Etsy, go ahead and just download the files directly onto your computer and then head on over to Cricut Design Space. Open up a new project, and then in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to click on Uploads. Click on Upload Image, and from here you could either drag and drop the image directly into this box, or you could click on Uploads and search for the file on your computer. If the design looks correct, click Upload, and now just select the design and click Add to Canvas. So now that we have our design in Cricut Design Space, it's now time to turn this into a cake topper. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup the image, and I'm going to hide all of these little stars. At the moment, I don't think I'm going to be using them. Now I want to create some bubbles that are spilling out of the cauldron. So to do that, I'm just going to click on the Shapes tab, and then I'm going to select the circle. I'll resize the circle to fit onto the cauldron, and then I'll just repeat this step until I'm happy with the way that it looks. Once you're happy with the bubbles, just reposition the witch's hair, and then highlight the whole design and move it down on your screen. We're doing that because the next step we're going to be using the offset tool, and the offset box is going to take up a portion of our screen, and we want to make sure that our design isn't covered. Now, if you're not familiar with the offset tool, it's basically just a way to create a second layer of your whole design. You can increase or decrease the size of the background layer by just adjusting the distance. And then you'll also have the option to have either round or square edges. So for this design, I'm going to be selecting the round edge. So now that we have our offset layer, there's just a few more steps to complete our cake topper. First, we're going to separate all of the layers. And then I'm going to highlight all of the bubbles, and I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change it to green. And now I can start to reassemble this design. I'll reposition the background layer. And then I'm just going to highlight the witch's hair, and I'm going to move that down as one single piece. It will just make it a lot easier. And now you'll notice when we go to move the black cauldron onto the background layer, since they're both black and the I Smell Children is a cutout, you're not going to be able to see it. So we just need to take one additional step to make sure that that wording is visible. So just click on the Shapes tab, and we're going to be selecting the cylinder or the capsule, whichever you'd like to call it. And then we're just going to reposition that to cover up the wording on the cauldron. Once it's completely covering it, we're just going to change the color to white. And then we're going to position that onto the background layer. Now we'll move over the cauldron. But first, we actually need to reposition the cauldron. So we need to bring it to the front. So we'll just go up to Arrange and click Bring to Front. And now when we move it over, we'll be able to see all of the wording. Now just highlight the whole design, and we're going to adjust the size. So when I make cake toppers, I really only worry about the width of my cake topper. And for a standard 8-inch round, I would normally make the width anywhere between 5.5 to 6.5 inches. So I'm going to make this one 6 inches wide. So now that I'm looking at this design where it's almost complete, I absolutely love it, but I feel like it's just missing a little something. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and add some of those stars that we had hid in the beginning. And then I'm just going to make them a little bit bigger, and I'm going to change the color, and I'm just going to place them on the bubbles. I think it's the perfect touch to add just a little bit of magic. Now I'll just click Continue, and then I'll select my cutting mat. I'm using the 12 by 12. And then whenever I'm using a bunch of different colors, I like to go and make sure that everything is on the correct mat. So as you can see here, I have the purple hair and the purple stars on different cutting mats, and I want to change that. So it's a real simple fix, so I'm just going to hit Cancel. And when I go back onto the Cricut design page, I'm going to click on Color Sync. So this feature is great because it makes it so you could easily sync up the colors so they'll cut on the same cutting mat. So I'm going to move the purple star up with the purple hair, and then I'm also going to move the black cauldron up to the black background piece. And then I'll just hit Make It. Now everything's on the proper cutting mat, so I'm just going to click Continue, and then I'm going to cut out each of the individual pieces of the cake topper. Now it's time to assemble. I'm going to start by hot gluing the white piece onto the black cauldron, and then I'm going to glue these tiny little pieces into the cursive children. So this was something I actually didn't realize was going to happen. I should have. But it's not a big deal, it's just a little time consuming. So we just need to take these little pieces and we need to glue them into the circles of the H, the L, the D, and the E. So it's not difficult, it's just a little time consuming. If you find that these little pieces are too difficult to work with, you could also just use a black marker and draw these pieces in. Now just glue the cauldron onto the background piece, and then we're going to attach all the bubbles. Now I'm just going to hot glue everything onto the background layer. Now the last step to complete our cake topper is just to glue our paper straw on. So for this part, I'm just going to put the paper straw as high up on the cauldron as I can, because that way it will give it the most stability. So I'm just going to put a line of hot glue down the back, and then when I place the straw on, I'm just going to give it a little twist, and then wait about 10 seconds for it to be dry. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope it inspired you to create your very own Hocus Pocus cake topper. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I'll be linking the SVG file that we used to create today's cake topper down in the description. And if you're looking for any other fall or Halloween crafts or inspiration, be sure to visit me over at sprinklewithpaper.net. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting!